The parable of the Good Samaritan. A man travels the rough road from Jerusalem to Jericho, only to be attacked by robbers, beaten, and left for dead. A priest walks by. Surely he will help. But no, he crosses the road and moves on. Then a Levite, a temple worker, comes along. He too avoids the injured man. Then comes a Samaritan, the last person anyone expects to stop. Jews and Samaritans despised each other, yet this man kneels, cleans the wounds with oil and wine, lifts the traveler onto his donkey, and takes him to an inn. He even pays for his care. Jesus asks, "Who was the neighbor?" The answer is obvious: the one who showed mercy. The message is clear. Love isn't just about who is nearby or familiar. It's about action. The question isn't, "Who is my neighbor?" but "How can I be a neighbor?" Jesus' final words say it all. Go and do likewise. The parable of the prodigal son. A wealthy father has two sons. The younger one, restless and impatient, demands his share of the inheritance, an insult as if wishing his father were dead. Without hesitation, the father grants his request. The son leaves, wasting everything on reckless living. When famine strikes, he is left with nothing, forced to feed pigs and longing for their food. In desperation, he decides to return home, expecting to be treated as a servant. But before he even reaches the house, his father sees him from afar and runs to embrace him. Without hesitation, he calls for a robe, a ring, and a feast. This son of mine was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found. Meanwhile, the older brother, angry and resentful, refuses to celebrate. The father gently reminds him, "Everything I have is yours. But we had to celebrate because your brother was lost and is found." The story reveals God's love, always ready to forgive, restore, and welcome home. The parable of the sheep and the goats. A king gathers all nations before him, separating people like a shepherd divides sheep from goats. The sheep, placed on his right, hears the words, "Come, you who are blessed by my Father, take your inheritance." Why? "I was hungry and you fed me. I was thirsty and you gave me a drink. I was a stranger and you welcomed me." Confused, they ask, "When did we do this?" The answer is clear. Whatever you did for the least of these, you did for me. Then comes the judgment of the goats. They are sent away because they ignored the same needs. Whatever you did not do for the least of these, you did not do for me. This parable isn't just about judgment. It's about how true faith is revealed through action. Every act of kindness is an act of worship. The question remains, are we living as sheep, caring for others, or as goats, turning away? The parable of the rich man and Lazarus. A wealthy man, dressed in fine clothes, enjoys a life of luxury, feasting daily. Just outside his gate lies Lazarus, a poor man covered in sores, starving and unnoticed. Even the street dogs show him more compassion than the rich man does. Time passes, and both die. Lazarus is carried by angels to Abraham's side, a place of comfort, while the rich man wakes up in torment. Desperate, he begs for relief, but Abraham reminds him, "In your lifetime, you received good things while Lazarus received bad. Now he is comforted, and you are in agony." Still hoping to save his brothers, the rich man pleads, "Send Lazarus to warn them." Abraham's reply is clear. If they do not listen to Moses and the prophets, they will not be convinced even if someone rises from the dead. This parable isn't just about wealth, it's about compassion. The question remains, are we using what we have to help others or turning a blind eye? The parable of the talents. A wealthy man preparing for a long journey entrusts his servants with his wealth. One receives 5 talents, another 2, and the last 1. "Take care of this until I return," he says. The first 2 invest and double what they were given. But the third, afraid of losing it, buries his talent in the ground. When the master returns, the first 2 present their earnings. "Well done, good and faithful servant," he tells them. but the third nervously explains his decision. The master responds, "You wicked, lazy servant! You should have at least put my money in the bank to earn interest. The talent is taken from him and given to the one with 10. This parable isn't about wealth. It's about responsibility. The question isn't how much is given, but how it's used. Are talents being invested for good or buried in fear? The faithful are rewarded, not for having much, but for using what they have. The parable of the wedding banquet. A king prepares a grand wedding feast for his son, sending invitations to honored guests. But instead of joy, they make excuses. One is busy with work, another with his farm. Some even mistreat and kill the king's messengers. Furious, the king declares, "The banquet is ready, but those invited were not worthy." He sends his servants to the streets, inviting anyone they find, rich and poor, good and bad. Soon the hall is filled with unexpected guests. But as the king looks around, he notices a man without wedding clothes. "Friend, how did you get in here without wedding clothes?" The man is speechless. He is thrown out as the king declares, "Many are invited, but few are chosen." This parable reveals God's open invitation to all, but also the need for preparation. Accepting the call isn't enough. True faith transforms. The question remains, are we ready or just attending? The parable of the Pharisee and the tax collector. Two men walk into the temple to pray. One is a Pharisee, a respected religious leader. He stands tall, lifts his head and prays, "God, I thank you that I'm not like other people, robbers, evildoers, adulterers, or even like this tax collector. I fast twice a week and give a tenth of all I get." His prayer isn't about God, it's about himself. He measures his righteousness by comparing himself to others. The tax collector, despised by society, stands at a distance, unable to lift his eyes. Overcome with guilt, he beats his chest and prays, "God, have mercy on me, a sinner." Jesus delivers a shocking conclusion. It is the tax collector, not the Pharisee, who leaves justified before God. This parable flips expectations. The Pharisee's pride blinds him, while the tax collector's humility brings him closer to God. The lesson is clear. True righteousness isn't about status or deeds, but about a humble heart seeking mercy. The parable of the unmerciful servant. A king sits on his throne settling accounts with his servants. One is brought before him, owing a debt so massive that repaying it is impossible. The king orders him to be sold along with his family to recover what is owed. Desperate, the servant falls to his knees, pleading, "Be patient with me, and I will pay back everything." Moved with compassion, the king does something extraordinary. He cancels the entire debt and sets him free. Walking away forgiven, the servant soon finds a fellow worker who owes him a small amount. Instead of showing mercy, he grabs him by the throat and demands payment. The second servant begs for patience, using the very words the first had spoken, but his plea is ignored. The unmerciful servant has him thrown into prison. When the king hears of this, his anger burns. "Should you not have had mercy on your fellow servant as I had on you?" he demands. This parable reveals the weight of God's forgiveness and the responsibility it places on those who receive it. Holding on to grudges only imprisons the heart. True mercy reflects the grace already given. The parable of the house built on the rock. Two men decide to build houses. One carefully chooses solid rock as his foundation. He digs deep, ensuring the structure is secure. The work is tough, but he knows stability takes effort. The other, eager to finish quickly, picks sand. The process is faster, the house looks just as good, but the foundation is weak. Then the storm hits. Rain pours, winds roar, and floodwaters rise. The house on the rock stands firm, while the one on the sand collapses into ruins. Jesus explains, "Everyone who hears these words of mine and puts them into practice is like a wise man who built his house on the rock." Hearing alone isn't enough. Action is what makes the difference. Life's storms will come, testing every foundation. Is it built on fleeting comforts or on Jesus' teachings. James 1:22 reminds, "Do not merely listen to the word, do what it says." True security is found in obedience, not appearances. The parable of the mustard seed. A mustard seed, so small that it seems almost insignificant. Yet, when planted, it grows into the largest of garden plants, stretching out its branches so birds can nest in its shade. Jesus compared the kingdom of heaven to this tiny seed, showing that even the smallest beginnings can lead to incredible transformation. The gospel started with just a few followers, fishermen, tax collectors, outcasts. At first it seemed unremarkable, overshadowed by powerful empires. But like a mustard seed, God's kingdom does not depend on appearances. It grows, spreading its influence in ways unseen, offering refuge to people from all backgrounds. Faith works the same way. A small act of kindness, a quiet prayer, a moment of trust, these are seeds planted in the heart, growing over time to impact the world. Matthew 17:20 reminds, "If you have faith as small as a mustard seed, nothing will be impossible for you." The question is, what seed will be planted today? These parables weren't just for the past. They still challenge and inspire today. Which one made you think differently? Drop your answer in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.